right, sports fans, welcome to another fantabulous episode of In the Tunnel Sports Podcast, home of sports news and entertainment. I am here with my special guest and co host for today, Mr. Consistency, better known as Lil Red The Comedian.
How y'all doing?
Hey, thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
So, before we get into today's topics, let's talk about you for a little bit.
Okay.
I introduced you as Mr. Consistent, and there's a reason why. And you are known in the comedy family as, being very, very consistent over and over again. It's consistently said about you. So, we know that a big part of success is being consistent, no matter what it is, whether it's dietary habits, drinking habits, smoking habits, whatever it is, be consistent, right? So, I guess talk to me a little bit about what that means for you and how being consistent in the comedy industry has set you up for success.
With being consistent, you gotta stay with it. Know what I'm saying, and just don't be complacent. Don't have your mindset that this is the best because it always can get better. So you gotta, keep doing it. Every room not the same. So it's a lot you can learn with just being consistent on its own. You just gotta keep working at it. Keep working at it.
I agree. All right. So one of the things that we talk about on this podcast is mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and wealth. All of and as well as financial, right? And there are a lot of shows and things that talk about what goes on the field and on the court and stuff like that. However, there's not a lot of talk about what happens off the court, what happens off the field. Okay. And so when they're on the field, when these athletes are on the field, they're superhuman, right? They're heroes. They're perfect. They whatever, those kind of things. They're a beast. But I want to humanize them. Because they are human and they are people. And as we know, we've seen recently, there's a lot of things that goes on that kind of make us like, whoa, what's going on? Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about is Antonio Brown.
Okay.
I don't know how much you know of what's going on. So I'm going to lay out just about everything. And just based on that, just on the human being, Mr. Antonio Brown, we're going to take out, his athleticism and we're going to humanize him. And just based on this, I'm going to ask some questions and tell me your thoughts. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So Antonio Brown, he's back from Dubai. He went to Dubai for, according to his attorney, on some business. All right. But he was doing this business trip in Dubai while there was a murder investigation underway involving a shooting in Miami back in May. All right, after an Aiden Ross boxing event.
Okay.
So this is a little bit of the background. That Brown is accused of grabbing a handgun from a security officer at the event, firing 2 shots at a man he gotten into a fist fight with earlier that night. Now this man, I'm gonna try to say his name is Zul Karnain Karma Nantambu. Okay. Now this guy just so happened to be the same guy who waved the Palestine flag during the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime. Okay. So what Zul he claims is that when Mr. Brown shot the gun, that one of the bullets grazed his neck. Okay. So that's why it's an investigation for attempted murder. So there is a video of Brown getting into a fight with multiple people following the match. All right. And on the video, Brown is seen fighting in a parking lot with a crowd of people watching. And he claimed that he was being jumped multiple times because people were trying to steal his jewelry and cause physical harm. And then there's a video being shared online of Brown allegedly holding a black handgun. Okay. While pursuing someone before shots were heard off camera.
Okay.
That's what one report says, all right? And then Zul claims he was allegedly injured during that incident when the shots were fired. All right? So then the police came out and they detained Antonio Brown briefly, but they let him go. Okay? All right. So he was released, and then a month later, the police issued a warrant for Brown. right? But Brown, by this time, he was already in Dubai on business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they trying to say he tried to evade, arrest, but no, he was on business. Okay. All right. So this is what the warrant states. The warrant states that the security staff broke up the fight, but then got into a struggle with Brown. I guess maybe that was where the gun part came in. I don't know, allegedly. And then Brown appeared to retrieve a black firearm from the right hip area of the officer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They obtained a cell phone video showing Brown with the firearm in his hand advancing toward Nantambu on the outside sidewalk. All right, and the video captures two shots which occurred as Brown of Brown within several feet of Zul Natanambu. Okay, so these are different angles that they've gotten from people in the crowd, onlookers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Brown, he appeared in the Miami court Wednesday where a judge set his bond at $25,000 and placed him on house arrest with a GPS ankle monitor. Now, he pleaded not guilty to second-degree attempted murder. Mm-hmm. All right? And the charges carry a 15-year prison sentence and a fine up to $10,000 if he's convicted.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the money. Okay? We talk about financial, right? Well, so Brown attorney and the prosecutor, they both raised questions at the hearing on Wednesday that he had. If the alleged victim, Mr. Zul, really got injured from the gun. They're trying to say maybe it wasn't. Maybe he, got it from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, the question is, okay, well, let me read a little bit more. All right. So, Brown's attorney disputed that Nantambu was even hit by gunfire and insisted that the neck injury was from a scratch during a melee that occurred earlier. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it wasn't from no gun. It just, he got scratched through the melee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Brown and Nantambu, they have a history. So that's the part I want to make sure that you knew, that they have a history of confrontation. What about? I don't know, but they have a history. All right. And so Brown attorney argues that Antonio feared for his safety and acted in self-defense. He says that Brown retrieved his own gun from which he has a concealed weapon permit and fired twice, but not at Netanyahu. He shot in the air, not at the man. Okay. So Netanyahu's attorney said Brown's intentions was to kill Netanyahu, and by the grace of God, he didn't kill him. And then he said, he fled to Dubai thinking that maybe he couldn't be extradited, back to the States and stuff like that. So, with all that going on, and we know that Brown has a history, right? He's been accused of battery of a moving truck driver, several domestic violence charges, failure to pay child support, amongst other things, right? Mm-hmm. So the first question I want to ask you, do you think social media often paints Antonio Brown as a villain, or do you think it's a fair exchange and he get it as he get?
Both. They show the bad and they show the good. Like, he was able to open up himself on what's the name of that podcast? The Pivot podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was able to open up himself on that and talk about his mental health and all that. So I think it's that, and just like everybody else that play football, I think he might have a little CTE.
I think I think he has more than just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. And the thing about it, it wasn't too many years ago, and I can kind of look online here that I guess the best way to say the equality of when people are being measured for CTE for a long time and for many, many years. I want to say up to like maybe 2018 when African American or black people or people of color, went to the doctor for CTE, they were not rated at the same scale as Caucasian people because it was still, in the medical and different industries that people of color can are more resistant to pain, so you have to measure them on a different scale.
Okay.
You know. So let me look that up right quick. Um, let's see. What would be the best way? CTE and black athletes, right?
Mhm.
Those are the two main things, and we can see. All right. So this says that research suggests that black football players may face a higher risk of CTE due to their overrepresentation in high risk positions and socioeconomic factors. So here again, we're talking about money, right? That limit access to proper medical care.
Okay.
Okay? But studies have been historically limited. Now, why? You know, the number of black people that play, but the study is limited. Isn't that interesting? Like as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh wow, you know. And it's because the black athletes tend to be in the higher risk, you know,
Okay.
positions, right? You know, stuff like that. Um, so back to what we were talking about, with him with the CTE. Well, let's go back. Let's talk about the claims of what's going on, because recently it was reported that the guy, I'm calling him Zul, who claimed that he was injured, um it's now kind of being reported that it wasn't until someone said, hey, you can make some money and sue him, that he filed.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, when I heard that, that got me to thinking, you know, whether he has CTE or not, there are a lot of things going on there on the negative sense with being in trouble with the law. And sometimes I think like when people and stuff like that, it just starts attracting and attaching. You know, you know, any kind of way. You know, they like I'm minding my business what I do this time. He was at a boxing match, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Then somehow he claims that they were trying to take his jewelry from him and stuff. So then now you got this negative energy of somebody trying to take something from you. All right, let's say that is true. And then it just so happens to be somebody that you already have had past confrontations with. You know, and so in my mind, it's like a big ball of just negative energy. You know, like in one sense, it's like maybe you shouldn't go to boxing matches, because boxing matches at the end of the day, they're violent. It's violence. You know what I'm saying? The harder you hit, right? A knockout. What is a knockout? That you're literally putting this person down. It's just naturally violent. You know, it's a sport. So it's football, right? That kind of thing. So, you know, maybe that does something to his energy, literally, because it's entertainment for him, right? Either way, he got in free, paid the ticket, whatever. He wanted to see this energy of two people plummet the shit out of each other, right? Okay, and then that attracted energy, and he came in there however he came with his jewelry. I don't care if it's 1 piece, 20 piece. It was his jewelry. So for some reason, why were they trying to attack him and not other people? Because I know he wasn't the only one with a piece and chain on. You know what I'm saying? And so it's something about that when I think like when you have a certain level of energy, you have to watch who has access to you.
But my thing is, why you don't have no security?
That's why that's exactly. I was hoping you was gonna say that. Like, why you don't have security? There's no reason not to have security. What is the mental state? I can handle myself, but it's not just about.
Yeah.
You know.
They license to carry. They're not gonna let nobody get close up on you. A lot of stuff that it don't add up to me.
Yeah.
I would have had security.
So I cannot say that because I don't know. So what if I'm just what if the man really didn't get injured from the gun, because it was from the graze, and it was during a little melee, that he got scratched or whatever. And so that's the other thing. Sometimes, especially when you're dealing with celebrities, when they have a certain reputation out there, people want to attract that and just and bring you down even further. You know what I'm saying? And so, as a comedian and, someone who's on stage and, there's a lot of energy that comes your way, right? Because it could be a heckler. And, I've been in productions where I've seen people purposely want to sit in front just to try to get picked
Yeah.
or to pick on. So how do you feel about that with that energy when you're on stage? Because his career is his platform. Football his platform. Yours is a stage. So how do you feel about that with energy and people?
You just go off the energy that you're getting. If it's a good vibe, you see like they want to have a good time, then you entertain that. But if they on some negative stuff, then you know what I'm saying, try to tell them to chill out or tell them to step outside. You know what I'm saying, let everybody else enjoy the show. Or if we go beyond that, get security. We go back to security.
They go back to security.
Go
So
back to
so
security.
let's dive a little bit because Tuesday night. I swear, I would say that is one of the hardest. If you come to you are a comedian. I don't care who you are. If you are a comedian and you come to Houston, Texas, you need to come to Leroy the Third. Swagger on Tuesday, hosted by Lil Red The Comedian. And I'm telling you, that is a crowd. It's the realest that it gets. I mean, you have people from here, there, everywhere, in all kind of situations and stuff, but they all, come together as one. So it's, no flim flam necessarily, but it's like if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are, because I have seen some people come through and they get hold of the mic and they be like, for whatever reason, that's all right. All right, so let me ask you this: what given his story, we talked about energy and people attracting and having negative energy and positive energy and CTE and stuff like that, and mental health. What message would you tell people about it being in the entertainment industry and people having access to you, and how do you network so that you can make sure you know the right people, and you attract fans and social media, but at the same time, I know earlier we talked about groupies and stuff like that. That's also an energy that can take you down, right? As this I was told once, this lady, I forgot her name, but she's a doctor, that literally you can fuck your way to the poorhouse. You know what I'm saying? And we see it every day. Celebrities and people of wealth get with somebody, man or woman, and they on their way to the poorhouse. So let's talk about that a little bit, about entertainment and how you can fuck your way to the poorhouse.
Man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. It all come down to it. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be human. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, yeah, you do entertainment, but at the end of the day, you human. Like if you see somebody out and about and they're a celebrity, you know what I'm saying? Don't treat them like however their celebrity name is. You know what I'm saying? Treat them like however their real name is. Like they out and about to enjoy themselves, to spend that little piece of time to themselves. So that's why if I see them, I just give them a head nod or whatever, let them go about their business. I ain't finna walk up on you, hey, I can take a picture out of that. Nah.
Yeah, that is true. You are real cool and laid back. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about financial health and financial wealth. Let's talk about former NBA player Sebastian Telfair. Okay. He played for Portland, New York, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, the Cavaliers, Phoenix, Boston. He's played for a lot, including international. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so he retired in 2015 from the NBA, but just as a professional basketball player overall, because he played internationally in some leagues and stuff like that in 2017. Okay. And recently, he posted on social media his life living in the projects with his mother and his brothers. He's had to move back to the projects. And he wanted people, to see how he's living and stuff like that. Now, currently, right now, he's serving time, and we'll get into that, what happened, and stuff like that. But let's just stop right there and talk about what you think could have happened.
I don't know. I remember when he first was trying to get to the league. He did a documentary and they was showing his upbringing in the projects. But I didn't know bro went back to the projects. That is crazy.
Yeah, back here in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna tell you what happened, and then we'll go deeper. All right, into it. So Sebastian, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison in August of 2025 for violating his probation in a healthcare fraud. So that's where a lot of things and wire fraud, okay, that he was doing. And so it was him along with like about 20 other players and stuff that was caught up in this healthcare fraud. They were defrauding the league's healthcare plan. So let's stop right there and talk about that. The boldness and the audacity of such thing as a whole, organization like the NBA league that, to try to fraud them, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? And then back in 2017, he had some gun possession charges. So again, we're talking about this energy, right? Like, what is that energy? So of course, playing in the NBA, he earned millions of dollars and stuff. So why do you think sometimes athletes or entertainers they struggle financially, either whether they retired or things slow down? What is that?
I don't know. He had good people around him. I would think he probably didn't acquire an accountant or a financial advisor or something. Cause like I said, his cousin doing well off. Stephon Marbury.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't register it. I don't know. Like it's wild.
I think bad money management, lack of financial literacy, right? Because if we think about it, that's not in the schools, And if you're in a regular ISD, I'm not gonna name any, specific, but there's no course in financial literacy. You know what I'm saying? And it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like just how to save and to spend and the budget, and all those kind of things. I mean, I don't even know if people still know how to write a check.
Wow.
I do, but I don't know if everybody,
Mm-hmm.
how to do that and what an IRA is and annuity and stuff like that. So I think it goes back to just bad money management, and we see that a lot in entertainment. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this, without getting into your pockets,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think is the best way for entertainers, including athletes, because that is a form of entertainment? What do you think is the best way for entertainers to manage their money? Because just saying a financial advisor or a CPA, sometimes they can get you in trouble too if you're not watching your own money, signing your own checks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what do you think?
I would say make good investments and don't live above your means. Like, you know what I'm saying? Calculate out what you have to pay for, and then save you something, and then have something to the side for a sticky situation.
I agree. And as I always say, the business of comedy ain't funny, right? All right. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you. And where can they find you? Where can they find
You can find me on Instagram at Lil Red The Comedian. You can find me on Facebook at Lil Red T Comedian, or you can find me on TikTok at Lil Red TikTok.
you? All right. Guys, thank you for joining us for another fantabulous episode of In the Tunnel Sports Podcast, home of sports news entertainment. And remember, my friends, stay thirsty.